In a recent study, Dr. Lau analyzed millions of young voters' social media posts, including their activity, emotional responses, and key issues. The research discovered 3 factors influencing young males' support for Donald Trump: media strategy, bro culture, and economic messaging.
We see that the 49% of young men voted for Trump versus 47% young men voted for Harris. Most young men receive their news from social media platforms such as YouTube, X, and blogs.
According to the study, men comprised 57%, 64%, and 68% of users on these platforms.
He leveraged this kind of bro culture embedded in the pop culture, especially within the social media personalities. So he went down a lot of these social media shows and personalities on video streams, such as Logan Paul's Impulsive. You have see a lot of these kind of media buzz where Joe Rogan interviewed Trump. And that interview garnered 38 million views within the first hours of its release, which was phenomenal.
You mentioned influencers such as Joe Rogan, Logan Paul, who really helped push the agenda towards a younger audience. Right. I want to ask you, what does that say about our culture and how highly we look upon these influencers?
I think this is a sort of a subculture among this pop culture, where you see that young men, they were craving for a leadership figure. They're craving for someone whom they can look up to. These kind of figures that they feel they're connected to, because they speak their bro language. They speak about their interests in terms of sports, crypto, and also the economic concerns.
In terms of messages and issues that Trump was putting out, what resonated with these young men voters?
What really resonated from our social media data with young men really focused on economic frustration. It's more about how they can get their next job, how they can afford their next houses. Harris did propose to some economic policies, such as the 25K sort of subsidies in first house for young couples, but that's not enough.
And looking at the female vote, in your study, you found that 45% of women voted for Trump. Even though he didn't gain the majority over Harris, he still gained a large portion of female votes. Why do you think he was able to do that?
Not just the men were gravitating towards that kind of bro culture. This kind of alpha male image, what Trump has crafted of himself by aligning himself with this kind of famous celebrity bro figures, spoke to young adults in terms of being strong, someone who's tough, someone who could lead us out of this, as he put it, out of this economic crisis.
And kind of looking ahead at Trump's return to the White House, how do you think social media is going to play a role? Do you think he's going to utilize it? Do you think it's going to be a bigger role than it was the previous term that he was in?
So I don't see that this is going to decline. Actually, it may be shaped closely into his administration's messaging and outreach engagement with young voters, and especially pave way for the next election.